Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and this afternoon I'm joined by Chris McElwain, and we're here to talk about Celtic 2, St Mirren 0. It's half-time, Chris. Let's get stuck right into it. Back to business, really, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I would say it's a pretty professional performance so far. Some good moments. Some moments where we seem to revert back to that kind of horseshoe situation at times, and I was looking for a bit more impetus. But yeah, you wouldn't have been 2-0 up at the half time. I think that's well deserved. Couple of standouts, I would say. I think Engels looks as though he's making the most of these opportunities, utilising that physicality we spoke about earlier, which is good. Showing a bit of urgency, which I've liked. I saw that was noted in the comments as well. It was a good moment where he actually lost possession. He worked very hard to try and win it back, which was great. Wingers look as though getting more involved today, which is good. Callum McGregor having a bit more influence, although I think that's maybe by virtue of the way St Mirren are playing. But yeah, it was good intensity start. Dipped a little bit mid half, and then I think we finished strong. Only criticism, I'd like to see a bit more from Ida. I don't know if he does have his best game. I'd like to see a bit more. Do you know, a bit more selfishness from Ida, I think would be nice.
Well, what we've got, obviously, looking at the players coming in, Chris, you're thinking to yourself, right, who has done well since they've come in? We'll talk about Austin Trusty, Arnie Engels, Luke McCowan, and of course Adam Ida, you brought him up. I think what we're doing is we're playing plenty of crosses into the box. There's plenty of moments where the ball's going in and you're saying, you know what, get on the end of that. Absolutely command that penalty area and get on the end of it. He's not done it yet. So I think what will happen with that one is we're obviously trying to play to his strength in terms of getting the ball in there and let him throw himself at it. And it's not worked in the first 45. I think he'll get the first 15 of the second for it to work. And if it doesn't work, he'll be hooked for Kyogo. You brought up Engels. Engels, again, you know, prior to the Rangers game, going into the Rangers game, right? These are all these small matters that you never know if it makes a difference. Engels was going to start against Rangers. Different game today, I get it, absolutely. But he, for me, has shown all his qualities, or to use a double denim phrase, all his attributes. He's shown them all in that first half. The physicality's there. You can see it. He's been on the end, I think, twice being pulled down. He is. He's the most fouled player in the Celtic midfield. He's made things happen. He's switched play. Sometimes Hatate, he dallies, and then, you know, what Engels is doing is just playing it inside. He's switching it onto the right-hand side from the left. You've seen it quite a few times. And the crossing is there for all to see. I mean, that assist that he's going to claim for Trust is such a simple one. Brilliant corner kick. And earlier on in the game, almost made another one of my predictions come true because he forces a save from a corner kick. He forces a save. So
it's got really, really good ability there,
Yep. No, I mean, talking about Engels prior to the Rangers game, I brought up the stat, right, that nobody wants to hear the now because obviously the Rangers game was such a disappointment and it was such an anomaly, really. And the stat that I had was in relation to, you're looking at his minutes, Engels' minutes, and you're looking at his goals and assists. And going into the Rangers game, he was sitting at a goal or assist every 103 minutes, right? You think, well, what does that mean? Last season, Matt O'Reilly, his goal and assist average was 115 minutes, almost 116. So Engels has got another assist today. He's chipping away, and he's becoming, for me, a contributor offensively for Celtic. And you know what? I know it's St Mirren, right? But they're fifth in the table, etc. People might say he's not done it yet against Rangers, etc. But I think Engels came in to play games, and I think he's shown today that, you know, kind of medium to long term, he's a first pick in the Celtic side. I'm not getting overly excited here, Chris. You know, it's halftime at home against St Mirren, but looking at the data, looking at the stats, Engels has done this consistently throughout the season, and I think a lot of people were focusing on maybe a patch of games of 2 or 3 where it wasn't great.
Yeah, it's the eye test, right? And a lot of people pointed to me, which is quite rightly, when you're at the game, you see a lot of the ball movement, you know, when you're actually inside the park. And when you're watching it on TV as we are today, you don't necessarily get the same perspective. But I think there's a lot of stuff that Engels does that maybe was a little bit under the radar. But I think, you know, one of his biggest strengths is I think he's got great vision. I think he reads the game extremely well, and that's one of the reasons why I'd like to see him, kind of solidify that slightly deeper role. He's not really a number 10 for me. He is very much the to use old cliches, he's a number 6, but he's a kind of number 6 playmaker as opposed to being that kind of destroyer in midfield. He's much more of a kind of playmaker. He sort of helps the defence bring the ball out, and then he's the one that kind of feeds the players around him. And I actually think he's better at that than say Kalmak. Kalmak's great, but I think Kalmak's much more of a traditional centre midfielder, whereas I think Engel's got that ability to spread the play and link the play, and we're starting to see elements of that more and more. And as you say, the stats back up the fact that he is contributing going forward. Contributes very differently to a Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly was a kind of flashy, Tom Rogic, do something out of nothing type player. I don't think Engels is quite the same way. I think Engels is very much he's methodical as opposed to flashy, I would say. But I think today could be hopefully a bit of a catalyst for him to say, okay, this is where I belong in this team. And I think you're right. I think he'll maybe become one of the first choice, midfield 3. And look, we spoke about the pre-match. None of the players who performed badly against Rangers, whether it be Rio, Bernardo, etc., I don't think they've suddenly been dropped, as it were, because of that. I think this is just us using the squad sensibly. But I would say that, when you get players like Engels and actually McCown for his energy today, and he's contributing as well, it makes these players kind of sit up and say, okay, I've got to keep my level high, to get back into this team. So I think it's been good. It's been a decent first half without being spectacular. I think intensity was good to start off with. Did dip a little bit in the middle of the half there before we kind of got our attacking in shape. But hopefully we'll go and build on it in the second half.
Well, we've got loads of great comments coming through. Let's have a look at them. Lackadoo. Here we go. Going to bring it in, Lackadoo. Up until we scored, they had 30% possession, yet had more shots than us. Don't care what anyone says. We're currently a bang average team that can't break any team down before the 30-minute mark. Lackadoo. Sorry, not Lackadoo. Lackadoo. I keep going back to it. A bang average team that is sitting with quite a gap at the top of the league. Whenever you say that to anybody, they say, but it's a Farmers League. Right, okay. We've won the only trophy that we could have won so far this season, other than we won 3 points against your trophy that was won on Thursday. And we are 3 points away from qualifying for the latter stages of the Champions League. We're no bang average. I think you're overreacting. We're no bang average. There's games throughout a season that are flat. There are games throughout the season where you struggle to break down your opponents. I mean, the match day streams that we do live here at halftime, often you're looking at the first half and there's not a great deal to talk about. And they would come alive in the second half. Now and again, we will blow a team away in the first half. I'm thinking Dundee last season, Ross County this season, 5-0, I think, on both occasions at halftime. But it doesn't happen all that often with this Brenda team. I think that you need a bit of patience. I think it's completely different from the old Ange days, whereby, it was the old Tony Haggerty, rip-roaring, free-scoring, never boring Glasgow Celtic. We're not really playing like that, but I think that it's far more of a patient, mature performance. And then if you don't get the opening goal, then you get a bit tetchy, and I get it. But to say we're bang average, I just simply don't agree with that. Tobago Street Police Station Supporters Club. You came up, met me up at Celtic Park one Monday morning, and thankfully I have never spent a night at the Tobago Street Police Station. And I'm not a member of the supporters club because you've got to spend a night there first. Engels, man of the half. Yes, there's an urgency to his play. An urgency, where it's like, get the ball turn it into attack. And I keep saying it sounds simple, but get the opposition to face their own goal. Get them on the back foot. Get the wingers running. To their player. And you're thinking to yourself, Engels is doing it, McCowan's doing it as well, and I think it's been hugely different in the first half. Well, that's a bit better, says Patrick James Simpson. Goals in the first half and a goal from a corner. Happy with that. Not always easy to get a goal from a corner to the point where a lot of teams stop playing the ball in from corner kicks. So, yes, it was a good move. Jim Irvin, he showed a bit of urgency, Engels. Yeah, I think that has been there for us all to see, and he's got yet another assist, and I'm going to have to look at my data, and I'll go back to that Matt O'Reilly. I'm not comparing the two of them as players, I'm just looking at their data, and I think that when you look at O'Reilly's first half season in a Celtic jersey, that was in Ange Postecoglou's first season. He comes in January, along with 3 Japanese imports. And, what we're just looking at the moment is Engels is only in that period of his Celtic career, that first 6 months, right? He's just coming out of that just now. O'Reilly took a wee bit of time to show us that kind of form that he showed last season, with the 37 goals and assists, got his £25 million move away. Engels was still in that kind of early part of his Celtic career, Chris. He's still got a lot to progress with and develop. And, Brendan Rodgers loves doing that with players, developing them. So I do think he's had a bit of a hard time. But, that first half performance and other performances this season has shown us glimpses of what this player can bring to the team, Chris. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket and saying, look, he's going to be and remain in the team for the rest of the season. But if you come in and you play like that, or if you come in and you play like Austin Trusty has, then it becomes hard to drop you, doesn't it?
It does, and that's all you can ask from your squad, right? Is you want the players to come in and take the opportunity. I don't think any player at this club should be content to sit on the bench. I know there's certain players who kind of fit that role. We talk
Scott Bain. They talk about Scott Bain.
Scott Bain, well, particularly, yeah, but.
He's not even on the bench now.
I was going to say, yeah. I think
he's driving the car, mate. He's in the carpool, Scott Bain.
I think next time we see Scott Bain will probably be doing his testimonial. But
I'll be there.
But I think there's certain players who fit that role. I think guys like Tony Ralston, for example. He's never necessarily going to be first choice again, but I think he's always got the opportunity to come in and make a difference. But there are. The players who've came in, like Trusty, like Engels, like Bernardo, none of them should be content at being on the bench, and they should be trying to take every opportunity they get. And I think today you've seen McCowan looks like he's trying to make the most of his opportunity. He's looked hungry today. It's not always come off with him. He's lost possession a few times again, but I think that's again nature of how he plays. A little bit similar to Hatate in that sense. Engels, I think, as we've mentioned, has done really well coming in, and he's made a really meaningful contribution. Ida, I think needs to maybe try and do more, but he needs minutes to do that. So we'll see how he does in the start of the second half. But Kyogo we know wants to be on the park every single time. I think you remember the old stories of Ange where he hide himself in a kit bag to try and get on the bus. So I want every player, whether they're selected for the first 11 or they're on the bench, to be hungry to go and take their opportunity when it comes about. And injuries will allow for that, suspensions will allow for that. But what I would like to see today, and it's something I've noticed throughout the first half, is particularly players like Kuhn, Maeda, McCowan to an extent. When you get the ball, don't immediately pass it straight away when there's an opportunity to carry it forward or carry it into the box and make something happen. At times, and midway through that second half, it seemed like every time the ball came to one of our players, we were doing that horseshoe again. It was going round and round and round and round, a little bit forward, round and round and round and round, a little bit forward. And you're kind of thinking, a player like Kuhn's got amazing ability. Just take your man on. Try and take him on. You've got guys behind you. If you lose it, it's not going to be the end of the world. We're in, their final third. So you're thinking this is a point where, take a little bit of, I'm sure, a bit of impetus, take a little bit of initiative and drive in. So I'd like to see a little bit more directness, and maybe that opens the opportunities up for Ida as well. But it's a minor complaint. I think we've done well this half. I think it's been a good reaction to the game midweek. And hopefully we go and build on it in the second 45.
Get a few more goals. I think instantly from kick-off, we did show that. We did show that direct play. Kuhn went on a mazy. Maeda was taken out, no booking. But I think early doors it showed we meant business. Now that it's 2-0 and if St Mirren, they could shut up shop, and hopefully it's they might think it's a damage limitation, or we can pick them apart and get a few more goals. Still not great, says Jungle Line. 2-0 performance, but performance has been flat. Reckons Connor Rowan. What was that guy's name again? Greengrass.
Oh, yeah, it was the Heartbeat, wasn't it? It was from Heartbeat.
Yeah, you said that almost as if you didn't know instantly what it was. Patrick Kerrigan, great to see Luke McCowan pulling strings. He's pulling strings, he's determined, and he's a player that we want to see him taking a wee ping. We said that before the game. Often it's just like, take a shot. One of them opened up for Alistair Johnston just before the half-time whistle.
I was screaming at the TV. I said, shoot at the shot, but it went wide. And I think it's just that when the opportunity's there. But look, it's easy again for us to sit here and say, you know, they've got a very different view for what we have when we're watching it. So, you know, I do appreciate that.
Now, we started at a good pace. I think it's a great point, anger management, green and white. And let's hope we do the same in the second half and really carve them up in the second 45. Chris and I will be here at full time. Thanks, everybody, at halftime for tuning in. 1,800 strong. And we'll see you at full time on Celtic State of Mind.
Thanks, guys. Come on.